disclaimer. This episode is centered around a serial killer. If murder is an uncomfortable topic for you, check out one of our episodes on failed heists. We do not condone or glorify any of the murderer's actions. We will also not be talking about any of the victims out of respect. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Failed Criminals, the podcast where we talk about killers that would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for their own stupidity. I'm Violet.
And I'm Sam, and today we're going to be talking about Dennis Rader, otherwise known as a BTK killer. So who was this guy?
The BTK killer is an American serial killer who was reported to have killed around 10 people from January 15th, 1974 to January 19th, 1991. So, the BTK killer, otherwise known as the Bind, Torture, Kill Killer, a name he gave himself.
He named himself Kill Killer. Really?
Yep, his real name is Dennis Rader, which is an equally lame name. I mean, he got to name himself and he chose something that's equally lame.
Yeah.
He was born in Kansas, specifically Pittsburgh, Kansas, in 1945. He was born to two parents and had three brothers. His parents worked long hours and often didn't pay attention to the children on account of how busy they were. He claims to resent his mother in particular for this treatment.
They were probably just trying to provide for the family. The family had 4 children. It's hard enough to keep track of one kid.
Yeah, he also displayed signs of being a psychopath as a child. He admitted that from a young age, he had fantasies of abducting helpless women, and he also apparently killed small animals.
Which are both common signs of being a psychopath. Did anyone see anything wrong with this?
Surprisingly, no. Up until he was charged for murder, he was generally viewed as a, quote, normal, polite, and well-mannered guy. He was even awarded a Good Conduct Medal when he was served in the Air Force.
Little did they know.
Let's briefly talk about why he's called the Bind, Torture, Kill Killer.
What a mouthful of a name. People had to shorten it to BTK.
Now, out of respect for the victims, I won't mention what happened to them specifically. In short, almost all of his 10 killings followed a pattern of either binding the victim, then killing them, or stalking / psychologically or physically torturing them and killing them.
Yikes, okay, that's extremely messed up.
Yeah, and he had this habit of sending cryptic letters and packages to the police.
So what did he have him? Did he send cake?
Oh, you know, the usual serial killer packages. Things like pictures of the victims' bodies, stolen driver's license, creepy dolls.
Okay, wait, what? Creepy dolls? Elaborate, please.
A doll that represented one of his victims was found in a package in Wichita's Murdoch Park. The doll had its legs and hands bound to show what he did to the victim.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yep, and even with all this evidence that was being sent to the police and news stations, he still wasn't caught, and in fact, his case went cold when Rader took a period off from killing.
That really goes to show how far we've come in terms of collecting evidence and analyzing it for any traces of DNA. In the past, I assumed the police would find a puddle of the killer's blood and say, well, this case is unsolvable. Good work, guys, wrap it up. Anyways, how long did he stop killing for?
Good question. He stopped killing in 1991 and was radio silent until 2004 when the Wichita Eagle ran a 30th anniversary piece on his killings. This got him to start leaving packages and messages in public places again.
Let me guess, more creepy dolls?
Yes, unsurprisingly, there were more driver's license, creepy dolls in bondage, creepy messages, and something that would lead to his eventual arrest.
So, how exactly did Mr. Rader get caught? We've been talking about how he's an idiot, but so far he seemed fairly capable as a murderer.
He actually got caught in what I think is one of the stupidest ways a serial killer has ever gotten caught.
Oh, I was a little worried there for a second. We're called failed criminals, so it'd be pretty off-brand if he actually succeeded.
So, on January 25th, 2005, the Wichita police acquired one of Rader's cryptic letters that basically asked him if the police could trace him if he were to send them a floppy disk in one of his famous packages.
Ooh, maybe he'll send them one of his little dolls with it.
Anyways, the police responded 3 days later in the Wichita Eagle by essentially saying that they couldn't track him and that he should most definitely send them a floppy disk.
You know, like a bunch of liars. I can practically hear them winking.
Yeah, and he fell for it. I mean, this serial killer, who hadn't been found for 30 years, trusted the police to tell them the truth. Now, reportedly, Rader wasn't the most tech-savvy, but still, why would you trust the police if you're a serial killer?
I couldn't tell you because I'm not one. This is on tape. I'm not one. So what happened next?
So basically, the disc was traced and information in the metadata showed that it had been used by a, quote, dentist at a, quote, Christ Lutheran Church and Park City Library. He was arrested and is now serving 10 consecutive life sentences.
Good. He should pay for the 10 lives he stole.
I totally agree with you. It's what he deserves.
Thank you to Violet for telling me about one of the stupidest killers I've ever heard of.
And thank you, Sam, for making the music for today's episode.
No problem. Happy to help.
To end, I'd like to thank Wikipedia and biography.com for the information to talk about this case. I'd also like to thank our listeners for, listening.
Yes, thank you. And I hope you all tune in next week for another episode of Failed Criminals.
Bye.
Bye.